Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nino Calderola, your instructor. We are going to be modeling this pressure vessel in SolidEdge this afternoon. It's an interesting little project. So with that said, let's jump into SolidEdge and let's start. So if we take a look at the part again is another metric part. We're going to start off by creating our isometric part. As always, if you have to change it, go to the edit list. I'm going to click on the isometric part to start, and I'm going to set my style to ordered from synchronous. So we are ready to take and start modeling. This part itself is primarily cylindrical. There are very few straight sections. It's nicely shown in front view and also using the section view. We're going to be gleaning off the majority of our dimensions from both views. Primarily the section view is going to give us our main linear dimensions as well as our refining dimensions for our filleting and also the overall size of the dome. I'm going to take this particular part and we're going to walk through one way of how we would go about creating it. Again, this is only one way. It can be done multiple ways. When you're viewing this video, please take in mind that you can also veer off and if you find a different way of doing a particular feature, by all means, go for it. So the way I'm going to go do it is I'm going to start my sketch, and as always, I can usually pick it off of the graphic, but just in case people are having problems picking off the correct surface that we're going to start, I'm going to use the base reference planes as always, and in this case I'm going to use my top, which is the XY plane. I'm going to click on that. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle. If we take a look at the front view, it gives us the overalls. So it gives us an overall length of 175 millimeters and an overall height of 120 millimeters. So let's do that. The way to do this, I'm going to use a rectangle at the center in this case, as opposed to the rectangle at 2 points. I'm going to use the rectangle of the center, left click, find the absolute zero, scroll out, and in this case I can type in my values. I'm going to type in my values for the horizontal of 175. I'm going to hit my tab key and I'm going to type in my vertical, which is 120. I'm going to hit enter and then just make sure that I just click anywhere in space, and that sets my dimensions. Okay, so now I have my rectangular shape. As always, we have to anchor it because if you take a look, the colors of the geometry itself is still blue, so that means that there is possibility that if we accidentally grab some geometry and drag it, we can deform it. So I'm going to add 2 smart dimensions. I'm going to click on Smart Dimension. I'm going to select the horizontal to start, and here's 170. I'm going to accept it by hitting enter. Then I'm going to click, I can click on either this side or this side, it doesn't really matter. I'll click on this side, drag, and it's 120, left click, and accept it also. So now the geometry is turned black, which means that it is fully satisfied and fully constrained. Okay, now we take a look at the front. This is a lozenge shape, so basically we have on both sides we have 2 rounded edges. We can do this in multiple ways. One way we can do it is we can use the tangent arc. We can select, say, that edge and select this edge, hit escape, and then put a dimension here to 60 millimeters, and then do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to show you an alternate way, which is a little quicker. I'm just going to select that and get rid of it. I'm going to use a fillet, which is right here. So fillet is located in our draw tools. So I'm going to click on fillet. I'm going to change the radius to half of the 120, which will make it 60. Accept it, enter. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to select, say, that edge and that edge. I'll go and do the same thing on this side and this side. That's fine. Then this side and this side. And then this side and this side. Now what may end up happening is that this small portion of line and this small portion of line will remain, because what happens is that as the fillet is being made, it has to maintain a certain piece of geometry to form the fillet, so that's where these lines are coming from. No matter, so hit escape, and I'm just going to readjust my dimensions. So first of all, I'm just going to get rid of these ones. Holding control, I'm going to get rid of that. And while I'm still holding control, I'll also select those two lines which I don't need, hit delete, and now I have the lozenge. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is add my dimensions again. This time I'm going to use my distance in between. I'm going to select the end of that arc and then the end of this arc, which is connected. And again, doesn't matter where you place it, I'll put it below this time. Enter. And then I'm going to click this line, oops, hit escape. Once again, the in-between, I'm going to hit this line this time and this line, and then drag out and accept. Okay, so now we have the lozenge. Okay, we have to now create the internal dome. The internal dome is actually a projection of the outside contour, which is this thing right here, it's the outside sketch, but it's being projected inwards concentrically, a total of 15. Where does the 15 come from? Well, if we take a look at the top, or excuse me, the front view, we have a dimension at the very top which says 7.5 millimeters, which makes it the center point of where the whole pattern is going to be. But then 7.5 millimeters to where the actual dome comes into play is the remaining portion, which is shown on the left-hand side of the front view. So 7.5 plus 7.5 equals 15. Now we can draw it just like this, which makes it, which will allow us to do the same thing. Or I'm going to use another tool. It's a tool we haven't used quite as often, and that's offset. Offset is located up here. I'm going to click on offset. On the offset, I'm going to go to my distance, and I'm just going to give it a distance of 15. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so I need to start by clicking on the parent sketch. So here's the parent sketch. I'm going to click on the parent sketch. That's what I want. I'm going to hit enter, and then as I move my mouse, as you can see, a silhouette of the parent sketch is shown being created. If I have it outside of where the parent sketch is, that's where the silhouette is going to be. If I have it inside, that's where the silhouette is going to be. Now the distance between the silhouette and the green edge is a total of 15. So if I left click and then I hit escape, I now have that projection. I don't have to worry about creating lines and arcs. It will do it for me automatically. So that's the beauty of offset. If you haven't played with it as often, I absolutely encourage you to try it when you can. All right, so we have the majority of what we need to start. So we're going to finish our sketch, and we're going to finish and cancel. And I'm just going to hit the little house symbol on my view cube so I can bring it into play. We're going to take a look at the section view at the top, and we're going to figure out how high the middle section needs to be. So we have a total of 8 plus 24. So 8 and 24, that's 32. So we're going to extrude this portion, the inside portion, a total of 32. So I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to select that. I'm going to accept it. Drag up, and I'm going to just type in 32, hit enter, and as always, pick anywhere in space. Okay, finish my sketch, finish that. All right, now we have this, so we have our first extrusion. However, it is a dome. It's actually a bowl, and the radius is on the section view, and the radius, the outside radius, indicates that it's 20 millimeters. So we're going to end up using the round, which is right here. I'm going to click on round. I'm going to type in a radius of 20. I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to select that edge, accept it, and hit my preview and finish. So now I have the dome, and if I take a look at it, that's the profile that I want. Okay. Next step. I'm going to click this button or this corner right here on the view cube, and by doing that, it flips it onto its back. So the reason I wanted to flip it onto its back is because we now have to remove the material off of here. If you take a look at the drawing, the thickness, the actual thickness of the material is 7.5 millimeters. So in order to do that, first of all, I'm going to cancel out of round. I'm going to locate in my home tab, I'm going to locate the tool that's called thin wall. So if I click on thin wall, it gives us a slew of different types of features. The one we want is a thin wall. So we're going to pick on thin wall. Okay. We need a common thickness, and the common thickness is how thick the wall is going to be. So right now I'm going to set it to 7.5 millimeters. Hit enter. And then I want to remove a surface. So I'm going to make sure that that button is turned on. It's the thin walled open face. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm just going to select the top surface like that. Okay. After I've done that, I'm going to accept it. And I'm going to hit preview and then finish. And what happens is that it removes the material, and the thickness between that edge and this edge is 7.5. So now we have exactly the cavity that we need. Let's click on the house symbol and bring this back up. So now we're going to create the flange that goes all around. And the flange itself is nothing more than a straight extrusion. Okay, so the straight extrusion is going to combine this edge and this edge together to create a straight extrusion. And if we take a look at the drawing, the thickness of that flange is 8 millimeters. So it's slightly thicker than the material. Okay, so we're going to go extrude, and then we're going to, as always, make sure that it says select from sketch. If it says coincidental plane, go back in here and change it to select from sketch. And then we're going to do two picks. We're going to pick that sketch, and we're also going to pick that edge. So those two are what we need. We're going to accept. Okay, and then we're just going to type in the value. It's 8, enter, and then pick anywhere in space. All right, so now we have pretty much our little dome. So if we look at it from that side, it looks perfect. Good. Let's add some additional refinements. The intersection between the flange and the dome is 2 millimeters. It is located at the top right-hand side on your section view. It shows an R2, and that is going all the way around. So we're going to use the round. On the round, we're just going to change the radii to 2, enter. And then we're just going to simply select the edge, this edge right here. Okay, so when I click on this edge, all I'm going to do is I'm going to accept it, and then I'm going to hit preview and then finish and cancel. So now if I look at it, we have a nice little round right there. Okay, all right, let's carry on. Okay, so our next primary feature, or our next refining feature, is going to be the boss. There's two bosses on the top here. One which protrudes directly into the cavity, and the other one which is basically a boss with a hole through it, and it goes through into the cavity. So let's do that. Now if we take a look at the front view, the first boss is directly in the center, and the second one is located from its edge a total of 8.75 edge to edge for the actual cavity. Okay, so let's do it. We're going to start by clicking on sketch. This time we're going to select the top surface right there. Okay, and we'll look straight at it. Okay, so the triad, because we built it centrally, the triad is going to tell us exactly where the absolute center is. So we're going to create, first of all, one, or actually two circles. Two circles, we're going to make sure that they're in line, and then we're going to change the dimensions by using Smart Dimensions. So I want you to click on Circle. Okay, find the absolute center right here. Left click, drag. Don't worry about the size for now. So left click, and then take your cursor, put your cursor on the center, drag it, and there's a red line that follows right there. Left click again, drag, and then left click one more time. Again, don't worry about the size. All you need to worry about is that this red area right here, this tracking line, you can see, is there. Okay, if you have that, that is perfect. That means that you have these two in line exactly as they're supposed to be. Okay, let's put a couple of smart dimensions. So the first smart dimension is the big circle right here. And if we take a look, that is actually 16. So we're going to type in 16. Okay, so 16. And the reason it's 16 is because if we take a look at the front view, it says a radius of 8. But if you take a look at the section view on the very bottom right in the middle, it says that the diameter is 16, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. Okay. The other hole, its diameter is actually 18. So we're going to put another dimension. We're going to select, drag, and we're going to type in 18. And again, we're getting this information from multiple areas. In reality, the majority of the information we're going to be getting is from the section view. Okay? So let's hit escape. All right. So we are going to now do a few extrusions. We're going to do the first extrusion, which is the 16, and then we're going to do the second extrusion, which is actually 4. So let's finish our sketch. Okay, let's zoom in, finish, and cancel. Okay, so we're going to use a straight extrusion. We're going to select that, enter, and we want this to go a total of 11 millimeters. So we're going to type in 11, enter, pick, and finish. Now the 11 millimeters comes from, again, the section view, which shows where the length of that connector goes to. It's right smack dab in the middle. Okay, now the second one, which now we can select, accept, it is going to be 4. So we're going to type in 4, enter, and pick anywhere in space. Okay, let's finish our sketch and cancel. All right, so this one, let's quickly take a look. So this one comes up 11, but it also goes down a total of 8 into the cavity. Okay, so it has to go a total of 8 into this cavity. However, we cannot just simply type in 8, because 8 means that the circle that we have on the surface not only has to extend into it, but it also has to clear the material. So we know that the material is 7.5. So if we take 7.5 and we add 8, we get 15.5. Okay, 15.5. So that's what we're going to extrude that circle again. So I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to select the circle, accepted, drag it outwards into the cavity, and we're going to type in 15.5. Hit enter, pick anywhere in space, finish, and cancel. So now we have the boss going into the cavity. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what it looks like. Here's the front. I'm just going to temporarily turn off and put it on wireframe and show you how it's going through. So there's what it looks like. All right, so we're doing fine. Okay, let's hit the little house. All right, so now on this one, we're still working on this one. We have a larger flange, which is a total of 30, and it extends upwards about 5. So we're going to add that one too. So we're going to go sketch again, select that surface, that top surface now, not this surface here. Okay, and we're going to go back to our circle. We're going to find our center, which is right there, drag, and then we're going to just type in 30. Okay, hit escape, and hit your little house symbol to get back. Okay. As always, we put a dimension, we put the smart dimension on it to ensure. Enter. Okay, so now let's finish our sketch. Cancel it and finish it. Let's go to Extrude. You're going to select the new circle, accept it, go up, and we have indicated, because it's coming off of the drawing, it is 5. So we're going to type in 5, pick anywhere in space, finish, and close. Okay, so now we have that. It's looking good. Okay, as always, like I said, just to get rid of some line geometry, just simply turn the sketches off on your history tree, and it just makes it a little easier to see. Okay, our next primary features are, we're going to bore 2 holes, one in here and one in here. Each hole is slightly different. The hole through this flange is actually 8 millimeters going all the way through, and this one is 10 millimeters. So we're going to use the hole command. So here's the hole command. As always, when you click on the hole command, you go to the hole options. It is an ISO. For the first one, we as indicated, it was 8 millimeters. Okay, and we want it to go all the way through. So we're going to go all the way through. Let's click OK. All right, so we're set. We're going to select the top surface of the new flange, which is right there. Okay, there's the hole. Let's find the center, which is right there. Okay, and as you notice, it's already turned black because it's remembering that it's supposed to be that size. Hit escape. Let's click the little house to bring it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish our sketch and finish and cancel, and just we'll take a look by rotating. There it goes. It goes all the way through. Okay. Second hole. Second hole, same thing. Hole command, options. Let's go to ISO. Let's change this to 10. So that's 10 millimeters. And as always, always take the through all. That's the easiest one. Okay, so now we have all of the sizes for that one. Let's click OK. Let's pick that surface. Okay. Now, if we can't find the center, here's a little trick. Find the edge. It will highlight, and then you can just drag and find the center just like that. And that glyph will tell you it is right at the center. Let's hit escape. Let's finish and close our sketch. And finish and close. So once again, let's rotate, and we have that. Okay, so let's look at it the front and hit the wireframe. Okay, so there's the holes. Everything looks good. Now we're going to do some additional refinements. Before we tackle the holes on the flange, we're gonna refine those particular objects. So it is a radius of 2 all around. So it's going to be the following. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks with that radius. So I want you to follow me and see how it goes. Okay, isometric again. Okay, so our first step is we're going to go round. Okay, 2, because it remembered the last one. So we're going to do the following. We're going to select that edge to start. We're going to select that one, that one. Let's rotate. Select the bottom one. Rotate a little bit more. Select that. Accept. Go preview. And finish. And now we have everything. Okay, so now we have everything. Once again, let's click on the front. We'll hit wireframe. There, looks exactly like it's supposed to. Perfect. Let's go back out of wireframe. Okay, our next step is we need to create the holes. Okay, and those holes are going to be on the flange. So the best way of doing this is to do it, just simply flip it on its side. So, or on its back end. So here is the button we did to create the cavity. So I'm going to click the same thing. Brings it back up. Okay, now we are going to use the offset again because it worked so well last time. The reason we're going to use the offset is that then we're going to measure out where all of the holes are going to be. So I'm going to first of all click on Sketch. I'm going to select the surface. Okay. We're going to use Project Sketch, which is right above Construction, which is right there. I want you to click on Project Sketch. Remember what that does is it traces out the surface. So with Project Sketch, I just want you to select that surface right there. Check mark, and then Escape. So now we have that projected. That's perfect. So now what I'd like you to do is click on the offset, which is right here. We're going to be using these tools quite often. Here's the offset. And what I want to do is, if we take a look, the bolts or the holes are actually located 7.5 millimeters from the edge. So we're going to change the 15 to 7.5, enter. We're going to click on the new black edge we just created, accept it, and once again just click inside to create the profile, just like that, and hit escape and hit escape. So now we have that. Okay? Alright, so we're going to add some additional geometry to start with. So the first piece of geometry is we're going to create a couple of lines. So from the center, actually we'll do this. Start from here, left click and draw a straight line right across, just like that. Okay? Next, we are going to click on Join. We're going to pick the center of the line in the absolute center. So that produces that bisector. Now that bisector we're going to use to specifically cut and then place all of our holes. Before we do anything, hit escape. What I'd like you to do is select that surface or that edge, hold control, select that edge, and make that into construction. That way it doesn't interfere. Okay? Our next step, we're going to go trim. We're going to trim that out of there and that out of there. So those two. I'll just zoom in here and show you. So you're going to pick this and then this, because what we want is this right here. Okay? Hit escape. And let's create 4 lines. Okay, so lines, center again, pick, don't worry too much where it is, click here, escape, line again, from here to here, make sure it's always in the center, here to here, actually, yeah, okay, good, escape, and then last but not least, from here to here. Okay, now we're going to have to put an angle between this and this and this and this. This is 25 degrees. So we're going to use the angle between, which is right here. Okay, so it's right here. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select this. I'm going to type in 25. Okay, and then I'm going to select this. Oops. Select that again. Okay. Select this and this, make that 25. Okay. Click again, select here and here, make that 25, and then click it one last time, here and here, and also make that 25. Okay. Let's do some trimming. So here's trimming. So we're going to get rid of this, we're going to get rid of this, 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 like that. Okay, so we've got those lines coming off of here. Perfect. Okay, so we're now going to put our holes. So the holes are a diameter of 8 millimeters. So let's finish our sketch. And Okay, cancel. So let's just look at it like that. I'll rotate it like that. Good. Okay, so we're going to use our hole command, which is right here. We are going to click on the options. We're going to change that to ISO. We're going to make the size 8. And we're going to make sure that it's through all, just like that. Click OK. Next, I want to select that surface. Okay, we're going to select that surface, and then we're just simply going to do the following. We're going to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just keep going around, pick those edges, like that. And then last but not least, this one. Okay? So now we have, oh, sorry. Okay, hit escape. I put in too many holes. This one we don't need, and that one we don't need. Okay? So just a mistake, but no big deal. Okay, so now we have all the holes. They're all black. Perfect. Close and finish and cancel. And then when we look at it, there it is. Let's take the shading off. Okay. And as always, what do we always do? We always change the material. Again, just make it steel. Let's turn to shaded. And there is our pressure cap. Looks really good. And that is how we create that part. Hope you enjoy it.